Hey Winx Club fairies, and welcome back to another episode of Winx Talk on this Friday. Last week, from today on, the new season of World of Winx came out, which was the second season and basically just part 2 of the first season. Why do you even call it a second season? It was just basically one season. So in this episode I want to talk about what I enjoyed this season and what I disliked this season, so we just jump right into it. So if you haven't seen the second season of World of Winx, then spoiler alert, I recommend it to watch it first before you see that video. And I've seen it in the time frame of 24 hours, so it is possible to just jump into it, binge watch all the episodes and then come back if you want to. So what I want to start off is the storyline. So we got in the first season a little bit introduced with Peter Pan and Tinkerbell and those names. But in the actual second season, they actually used those elements of the story of Peter Pan and Neverland and Captain Hook and Wendy, etc. So I'm not quite a fan about using another story and putting this into Winx Club, especially because it's such a well-known story and everybody has different association with that story. For example, for some it is Disney, for some it is the realistic movies. But then, while watching it, I did not thought it was that bad like I thought it would be, because I'm really thankful that they did not quite use the original story. That Tinkerbell is like really nice, and the crocodile bites off Captain Hook's hand and stuff like that. I enjoyed that. They basically just used the character layouts and frames and then made their own story out of it based on those characters. And I'm especially thankful for that Peter Pan is not actually in the series. It's just like a person you talk about, but you don't have a face to it. So it's quite clever that they used Ned, Peter Pan's son, instead of actual Peter Pan, which would make the Winx Club go into the background and then the story of Peter Pan would go into the foreground. So the next thing I want to talk about is the transformation, because the transformation is in every Winx Club season a really big thing, and I think every girl is kinda drawn to the transformation and the pretty dresses or the pretty wings they get to it and the catchy music which comes up as well. So I think for this transformation it is definitely Illuminati confirmed. Bloom said it is an evolution of the Dreamix power, which is alright because it looks quite similar. It's not quite obvious why they got an evolution though, but it just happened. I guess it's just because it sells good. So I'm already kind of used to that Rainbow or Netflix does the transformation because people like transformations and not for the sake of it looking good. That's just my opinion. I don't know, what do you think about it? I quite like the sequence of the transformation though. Musa looks awesome. I really dislike the color change of Stella, etc. We talked about this in the Winx Talk before this one, so if you want to check it out, feel free. And I don't quite like how Tekna does not get a lot of parts in that transformation as well. So now to part of the season which I really enjoyed, which was the parts with the Nemesis. I really enjoyed it so much because it kinda was a thing which the fans wanted as well, because if you look at YouTube there are so many versions of making the Winx a bit goth or dark versions of them like we had in season 2 with Bloom. So now they actually brought back a Nemesis, which is basically just a nightmare version with the worst characteristics of that Winx Club member. I gotta congrats myself right now, because if you have watched my older video, I say this. We have those pictures which look like Bloom and Stella in really weird outfits, a bit crazy maybe. So maybe there's something going on in between. They're having a nightmare, or maybe it's similar to the movie of the Lost Kingdom where they have basically to face their fears. And there you go, I already saw it coming. Based on 2 pictures we saw of the Nemesis. Talking about the Nemesis themselves, I gotta say Bloom's was awesome. I loved the design, I loved how creepy it was, I loved how scary it was. Then we have Musa's, and Musa's was even more creepy with this doll-like music playing while she was searching for Musa when she was hiding. And then we have Stella's, and that is kind of where it dropped. Like Her design was alright, but it didn't play such a big part of fight scene like Bloom's or Musa's had. For example, Bloom's had basically a whole episode to itself. And then for Musa's Nemesis, we had like 10 minutes maybe of her fighting that Nemesis. And for Stella's, we kind of drop back into a smaller amount of time, and it's kind of there and then it's gone again. And then we jump into Flowers, which is not really a Nemesis because she just basically had to fight something made out of stone, and she doesn't need it to fight her fears or something like that. So from there on, it kind of lacked of the innovation from the makers, I think, because then we have Layla's, which doesn't even look close to Layla, and then we have Tekna's, which is a bit better again, but not quite a fan of it as well because it just went by so fast. But the basic idea in the first Nemesis was really good, and I quite enjoyed that part. So the next point I want to talk about is the characters, because we have quite a lot of new characters in that season. The first group are the mermaids, and I quite liked the mermaids. I liked how they looked like, I liked how they acted. They had the typical stereotype of a real mermaid. Then we have the pirates, they were alright. It was cool that they're there because they're the crew of Captain Hook, of course. I quite enjoyed that they can transform, and the transformation looks quite scary, quite cool. I quite like that. I like Tiger Lily, she was there, she was a cool character, but actually did not have that much of a time frame in that series. Then we have Tinkerbell, and I think Tinkerbell was a great character. She was not too present, but she was present. So basically I enjoyed her being evil and then turning good as well. I think in this season they liked evil forms of other characters, and it was good, can't say anything against it. And now we have Peter Pan's son, Matt. Where to start? I think he kind of looks like a typical British guy. He acts like a typical British guy. Did not quite like him at first, but of course that was on purpose. Later on his character changes a little bit and he becomes more enjoyable. So I quite like the hookup between Tinkerbell and Matt. They are really cute together. I wish there would have been a kiss scene in the end because, come on, we were waiting for like 13 episodes for this now. So now to other small parts of the series and what I think about it. So I think that it was kind of obvious that Jim was evil, that he would turn evil again. It's kind of the cliche of Captain Hook, of course, being evil. So I don't know if I like that, but I thought it's just typical and had to be in there. I don't know much more to say to that one, but it just is like it is basically. And Smear saving everybody is just like typical as well. Children's show, what you expect. But to be honest, I wouldn't know how I would change it so it would be more exciting and not that obvious what actually would happen. So now to a part which I did not quite enjoy because Tekna was not really present in that season. She was basically just there to fight her nemesis, but not really anything else. She just wasn't that present like the other Winx characters. This time I really enjoyed the irony of Aisha. In season 1 I thought it was a little bit annoying, but now it actually was kind of funny, especially when she was making the joke about Matt being able to fly all of a sudden. I thought that was awesome, and I saw Netflix or Rainbow would kind of make fun of themselves by not making any sense as well, so I thought that was a good thing. So now to the ending. So we had that witch, and she of course had a body of a 20-year-old at first and then changed into an old witch. So at first I gotta say, witches don't always have to be old. Don't make this typical witch-like character all the time, because we see when we have Icy, Darcy and Stormy and other witches from Cloud Tower that witches don't necessarily have to be old. Of course have this open ending, so that means there's gonna be a next season as well, whether it's gonna be another spin-off season or whether it's gonna be a complete different spin-off or whether it's gonna be an actually Winx Club season 8. I don't know, and I'm looking forward to it, and I'm open for anything which might come up, and I'm interested what they're gonna bring up, but I'm open for it because I mean witches are on Earth now, so I'm kind of interested how that's gonna turn out, because at first we just had fairies. So I'm looking forward to this. So now to you, what do you enjoyed watching the season? What do you think was not as good as the old ones, or not as good in general? So just write me down in the comments and we're going to talk about this. And I would be happy if you give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed this video. And if you want, there's always going to be a Winx Club related video on every Friday. So click that subscribe button if you want to. And I'm going to see you next Friday. Have a fantastic day.